Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Uh, First, to start off with, happy St. George's Day. I hope you have some time to celebrate today. This morning, I'm having very much needed rest, just briefly for a couple of hours, hang out with the dogs for a bit. After a mammoth weekend of campaigning, we were in Bromley on Saturday and Yateley yesterday, and I'm so grateful and delighted by the number of volunteers who are turning out, the passion of the volunteers. We got hundreds and hundreds of leaflets delivered over the last 2 days. Positive reception on the doorstep. It's going really, really well, and I'm extremely grateful to the volunteers and the candidates for a great weekend. Um, Wanted to talk a little bit today. I remember I'd said last week that if you have things you'd like me to talk about, to let me know. Um, and I had an interesting email from one of our members regarding what happened last week with the House of Lords and the EU withdrawal legislation. Now, I'm not going to go into that in too much detail, but I'll post a couple of articles below, including a blog I wrote for Alt News Media on Friday. But essentially, in a nutshell, what they've done is they're hinting towards staying in the customs union and making clear their desire to stay in the customs union post Brexit. And they've essentially attempting to frustrate, as some members of the Lords have said, the Brexit process. And so, because of this, a member got in touch with me and asked me to say a few words about the House of Lords. So I will. The policy on this is one of the 10, and I'm starting to properly put these together now, because post these local elections in May, the membership will be asked to vote on certain policy areas. I'm going to put 10 together. You'll have options, and we will come to a conclusion about policy areas based on the votes of the members. And one of those, as I said, is the House of Lords. One of the issues I'd like you to vote on is the House of Lords. But just to offer a few of my own personal views on this, I have very mixed feelings about the House of Lords. There is obviously a huge democratic deficit there, but it is reduced somewhat by the fact that the House of Lords is subject to the superior authority of the House of Commons, based on the fact that the House of Commons is elected. And that obviously should stay that way. And it's, as I say, that reduces the democratic deficit a little bit, although it's obviously still worrying. But here's my concern about abolishing the House of Lords: is what we get in its place. Now, I certainly believe that there needs to be major and real reform of the House of Lords. It must be much more difficult to get into, for example. There's too many people in it. It's too expensive. And there needs to be, I would suggest, real reform, and reform with teeth, not just tinkering around the edges. But my concern about getting rid of the House of Lords altogether is based partly on my experience of dealing with people in Parliament. Over the years that I've been doing this and talking about Sharia and talking about Islam particularly, I have never been invited by a member of the House of Commons to talk to members of the House of Commons about this issue. Not even close. They wouldn't dream of it. They wouldn't dream of it. I have, however, more than once been invited to the House of Lords by members of the House of Lords to speak to members of the House of Lords about this issue. And any assistance or any support I've had from Parliament over the years has all been from the House of Lords. And the reason for that, I suppose, is obvious, because they don't worry about being re-elected, and they're a lot braver because of it and a lot more likely to take on difficult issues. Another thing I think that's an asset about the House of Lords is that it's filled with people, well, not filled with people, but there are many people in it who have life experience, who have really achieved things, people who are very successful business people, for example, who have achieved things. In other words, their life hasn't been professional politics, unlike the House of Commons, which is stuffed to the rafters with people who know very little but party politics. And my concern is that if we abolish the House of Lords altogether, we will end up with a second House of Commons. We will have a second House with people full of professional politicians who know very little about life outside of party politics, and whose only concern is getting re-elected. And they will therefore do what they're told and say what they're told and hold their tongue, even when they feel a certain way, they won't say so. So I don't, I'm worried. As I say, I've got really mixed feelings about this, but I'm worried about ending up with a second House of Commons and of losing that life experience that does exist inside the House of Lords. In whatever measure, I can't tell, but there is life experience in the House of Lords. It certainly needs reform, is my own opinion, real reform. But I'm nervous about abolishing it altogether. However, having said all that, I will, of course, go along with whatever the party decides, and I'll argue for whatever the party decides the policy should be. I'm also, in all honesty, a little bit of a sucker for unique Britishness. What can I say? I love this country, and there's something uniquely British about it as well. But that's just a sentimental thing. But the overall problem to me and the overall concern to me is ending up with a second House of Commons stuffed to the rafters with career politicians whose only concern is getting re-elected. So let's debate this. And when we get set out the 10 areas that I want members to vote on, I'd really love to see debates going on in branches across the country. That's a way of engaging with the party. I'd be happy to attend these and put forward my own arguments and which way I would like us to go. But my vote will be the same as everyone else's. But yeah, let's debate these things. I'd really like to hear people's views on the House of Lords. And I suspect abolishing it is probably the only way we'll really make it sufficiently democratic, although I am still nervous about it. I am still nervous about it. Okay, what else is there to say? Oh yes, there is ForBritain has now got, I'm delighted to say, a party chairman. And that is Ed de Mole, and Ed has been with us from day one. He's a fantastic hard worker, knows his thing, and he'll be overseeing the party while I focus on politics. So we are growing and growing. As I think I said last week as well, after these elections, priority will be putting regional structures in place from the structure of the party point of view. Priority for me will be drawing a more detailed manifesto, getting experts in certain areas to write a detailed manifesto, and that's already started. I want that to be ready, but I also want our manifesto to be an organic document. I want it to be a living document. I want it to be subject to change, subject to circumstance, and that's how it'll be. But I will get the ball rolling on your views on issues and how you would like our policy to be. And then hopefully what I plan to do is get the full manifesto with the voted for policies ready by our first national conference in September, which I'm really excited about. Things are really happening, and it's not just sort of leaders flannel when I say that I really do believe we can succeed here. I really do. It's a snowball. It's getting bigger and bigger as it rolls on, and I don't think there's any stopping it. We have the right message at the right time. We have passionate people. We have young and old, black and white. It's a really dynamic party and turning into a really exciting experience to be part of. And I really want to thank everybody for allowing me to lead this. Okay, I know I said I'd be here all week this week, but I won't be here tomorrow, but hopefully I'll have a pleasant surprise for you on Wednesday if all goes well tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to go and take the dogs for a walk and then get on with some work. If you are out celebrating St. George's Day, have one for me. And I shall see you all back here on Wednesday at 11 o'clock. All right, take care.
We will make America great again.